I first got sober in 1987, and from alcohol, alcoholism. And I was a young man, and I grew up in a home with an alcoholic father. My father died from alcoholism at 63 years old. I have siblings in recovery. Like, I always laugh. I tell people that alcoholism doesn't run in my family; it gallops through my family. Like it's like unbelievable, right? So, addictions are complicated. They're partly genetic, I think, biological. They're familial, but we just know this for sure that they're always destructive. And one of the things I've been working toward these days is having people understand that addiction, we tend to think of people like, okay, well, there are those people, alcoholics and addicts, right? And then there's the rest of the population,
right?
As if there's some, right? But in reality, everybody is somewhere on the addiction continuum. It is built into the human condition. And you can be addicted to alcohol, drugs, sex, porn, food, people pleasing. I mean, the list goes on and on and on.
How about our phones?
Oh, well, don't even get me started on that, right? Like the technology addictions, gaming addictions, gambling addictions, sport betting addictions. I mean, as a friend of mine likes to say, if you're not an addict now, you're one click away. You're just one click away.
To that end, is there an actual spectrum that you would describe for us? I think that'd be good for us all to kind of have a wake-up call.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
One spectrum we might think about is from mild to severe, mild, moderate, and severe.
Okay.
Right? It is a unhealthy, compulsive relationship with a person, a behavior, or a substance that has mood-altering effects and negative consequences. Okay? Now, that can be then ranging from mild to moderate to severe, right? Like if you have a mild eating addiction, right? It's not interrupting your job. It's not messing up your relationships, but it's problematic, right? On the other hand, if you have a methamphetamine addiction, right, it's going to burn your house down a lot faster, probably than some others. But your chain could be a thread or a chain. It doesn't matter. You're still tethered, right? Like you're still in bondage.
Yeah.
So and stuck. Yeah. So. My goal in life right now, this is a passion project. It's my little step away from the Enneagram because my life has been so transformed by a solution that I found for addictions that I want to share with everyone and make it available to everyone.
Yeah. No, it's really fascinating to see how you have come from a lineage and an environment of addiction. And I think we want to know, in 1987, you said that's when you became sober. What was the lead up to that moment? Was it a bombshell moment where you said, I'm at the bottom, I bounced so hard, now I got to do it? Was it a progressive thing? What did it look like for you to finally say, I'm breaking this pattern?
Well, I was probably... It's very hard to know when I sort of jumped to the wall into alcoholism. It's not like one day you wake up and you go, well, that was it just then, It's like addictions come up on you like the tide.
Right.
They just slowly and imperceptibly come in. And then one day you wake up and you realize, oh, I'm over my head and I'm drowning. People have a hard time seeing it when it's coming, right? Until it's there.
Yeah.
And so in 1987, I had reached a point where, now I'm hiding alcohol around the house, like in bookshelves and under beds, and I'm, drinking earlier and earlier in the day. I'm a newly married guy. My dad had just died of alcoholism.
Wow.
Another member of my family confronted me, and said, like, you're heading in the same direction. Like, what are you doing, And that's when I went to my first 12-step meeting. I went to a therapist, and this therapist, God bless him. I mean, I was a young guy, and he said, in God's providence, this guy is like in a 12-step program himself, and he spotted it. Like he was like, oh, this is a no-brainer, right? And he's like, I won't see you unless you start going to 12-step meetings. And I'm like, Anne Lamott has this great quote. She says, trying to reason with an alcoholic or an addict is like trying to blow out a light bulb, right? So I'm like, I just slammed the door and I walked out. I'm like, I am not an alcoholic, and I walked out. 2 weeks later, New Year's Eve, 1986, Annie and I went to a party in New York City that we now refer to as the Night of the Living Dead. I will not go into all the details of what went sideways that night.
Okay, that sounds fun.
Yeah, it did not end well. I did not end as a popular new husband. And went back to see him, and that was the beginning of my journey in that world.
Yeah, well, I mean, that leads us to, we were talking about this earlier. I love the subtitle. The new book is The Fix, How the 12 Steps Offer a Surprising Path of Transformation for the Well-Adjusted, the Down and Out, and everyone in between.
Yeah.
And I was talking to you as an author about how I loved how long the subtitle is, because every author wants a long subtitle to tell people what they've poured their guts into. But this is a fascinating way of describing that. And you said it's now a pet project. Why is the 12-step process, you think, so valuable for all of us? Because you just put a hula hoop around everybody in that subtitle.
Yeah. So let's just think about this for a second. 90 years ago, a guy named Bill Wilson, Bill W., founded a 12-step program around the 12 steps, which actually derived from a Christian organization called the Oxford Group in New York City, right? And they initially had 6 steps. He broadened it out to 12. And what he discovered is that when alcoholics, who back then were hopeless, I mean, you were just going to die, right? There was little hope in the medical community at that point, no solution to this problem, right? He discovered that if they would have a spiritual awakening of sufficient force, right, that they could be, that the craving for alcohol would be expelled and their lives could be saved, right? 90 years later, tens and tens of millions of people's lives have been radically changed and transformed as a result of working those steps. It is extraordinary. And I will guarantee you in 100 years from now, people will say that America's greatest contribution to spirituality in its first 200 years was the 12 steps.
Interesting.
Now, I mean, it's literally tens of millions of people's lives have been saved. Now, what I wanted to do was democratize them and make them available to even the soccer mom sitting at the kitchen table who is very moderate, has some patterns of self-destructive behavior that she wants to get over, or the dad wants to get over, right? And become a better expression of themselves. I'm like, you should work the 12 steps. They will change your life.
Yeah. Is the power in the steps, is it the specificity of the call to action in the 12 steps?
Yes.
Or is it also the fact that it's 12 and they seem to build on each other?
Yes.
Is it both and?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both and, right? So here's how you can break the steps down. The first 3 steps, the call to action is, let's make peace in your relationship with God. Those are the first 3 steps.
That's
right? And part and parcel of that is admitting your powerlessness over a particularly destructive behavior, right? Or, in your life. Admitting that you have been unable to come up with a solution to this problem on your own. And then turning your will and your life over to the care of God. Those are the first 3 steps. 4 through 7 is, let's fix our relationship with ourselves. That involves self-reflection, doing some inventories, taking a look inside, self-examination, the whole process, right? 8 and 9 is, now let's heal your relationships with others. And then 10 through 12 is, how do I cultivate a lifestyle? There are directions on how to cultivate a lifestyle that will support health and growth in those 3 domains of your life moving forward. It's so simple, you're going to try and make it hard.
Yeah.
Right? Make peace with God, make peace with yourself, make peace with others, and cultivate a life that protects all 3 of those domains moving forward and drawing from the wisdom of all 12 steps throughout the course of the day.